and obtaining this knowledge. But anyways,
it's not good enough to say that other organizations suffer from this as well. We realize that there are humans throughout this whole organization. We understand that. But that does not abdicate you of your responsibility to make sure that you are protecting people. We know that you have the ability to pay for background checks. Background checks aren't everything that we can do, though. It's a small first step. It doesn't cost very much money. The live scan is a machine that you can buy relatively cheaply. You guys can handle it yourself if you don't want to spend the money. Or it's not a very big deal. It's a $30 fee. Our state in California, we just had to, everybody had to go get live scanned. They brought somebody in to do that. The law requires that if you're going to be 30 hours or more, that with youth, that you have to get live scanned. Our state said that everybody that deals with children at all has to be live scanned. I'm glad they made that decision. That was a good decision. You guys can make that decision as a church. And if people don't want to be live scanned because they feel like it invades their privacy, God bless them. They don't have to serve with the youth. It's okay. They can get revelation to call somebody else. That's fine. The other thing that I'll say is if somebody comes in at confession and tells you that they've abused a child, but they have not been convicted with it, you should annotate their record. You should do that. And they should never be able to be in a position of leadership at all. We know that the case that just came out of Minnesota, that guy was in elders quorum prison, so he wasn't dealing with children. Well, guess what he did? And his position of authority informed that. So it is important that you look at these things and say, how can we protect children? And it's also important if there are people in your ward that are child abusers, you should let everybody in the ward know. You don't have to give them all of the details, but you can tell them, hey, this person has been a convicted sex offender. You should not let your child around them. That's okay. People may treat them differently. That's their choice. They've made the decisions that put them on that sex registry. That's their deal. It's not ours. We know that less than 50% of sexual abuse is actually ever reported or brought forth from the victims. So we know those statistics. So we know that there's tons of people floating out there that we're never going to catch. But when we do find out, we have a responsibility. We are our brother's keeper. Once we have been warned, it is our obligation to warn others, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm on camera. Okay. Everybody's so concerned about the perpetrator, and I was reminded of something that what's your name? Jared. Jared said, you know, we don't want the man to suffer. You know, we're gonna protect this guy because he's repented from the consequences. Well, in the meantime, the victims and survivors get everything. They get the shame. They get the shunning. They get the name calling. They get the scarlet letter, whatever that letter happens to be. You know, there's a lot of scarlet letters given in the church. D for divorce, A for adultery, F for fornication. And by the way, when a child is abused, that's neither adultery nor fornication. That's molestation, a big letter M. So another thing that needs to happen in the church is that people need to be educated. Because this is another reason why people are killing themselves. Have you ever been shunned or shamed? I have. My situation was very well known throughout, not just my state in Kalamazoo, Michigan State in Michigan, but it was known everywhere. And that's not fair. Why did the victims get the consequences? Why did we get the shame? Why did we get the blame? That's actually projection. You know, part of the sanctification process is suffering. And unfortunately, this is why I'm standing here, because I was sanctified by unjust treatment. And I don't believe that my abuser was. What did he suffer? What? He's on wife number 5 now, but after me, wife number 3 came along, and people talk about, let's do this identification stuff in California. He has no record, and he has no record because the church protected him. When she went and hired a private investigator to find out about him because she didn't want to marry somebody that would hurt herself or her kids, there was no record because the church protected the perpetrator. That just has to change.
You know,